Now, from KELOLAND TV, a special presentation, KELOLAND's Hidden History, honoring Black history.
Welcome to our African American Hidden History special. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dan Santella.
And I'm Casey Wanenberg. Over the next half hour, we're going to show you how African Americans shaped South Dakota's history and how the younger generations are already making their mark in the Mount Rushmore state.
Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Almost 60 years ago, the civil rights icon spoke near here at Van Epps Park in downtown Sioux Falls. During his visit, King also stopped by the KELOLAND studio for an interview.
I'm convinced more than ever before that as we delve into the struggle for freedom and first-class citizenship, we must delve deeper into the philosophy and method of nonviolence.
That visit to Sioux Falls will soon be commemorated with a special statue right here at Van Epps. I spoke with the man who is creating it and the message he hopes to spread.
With us, a very prominent guest, Dr. Martin Luther King of Atlanta, Georgia.
In our very own KELOLAND TV studio, Martin Luther King Jr. sat down for a one-on-one interview in 1961.
And it's certainly a real pleasure to be in this section of the country. It's my first time here.
It was at the height of the fight against discrimination and segregation in the South when the activist spoke at an event in Sioux Falls.
And he spoke at the Knife and Fork Club, which I believe was in the Cataract Hotel downtown. That was the biggest prominent hotel in the city of Sioux Falls.
But the hotel wouldn't let King have a room for the night.
So he had to actually stay at the St. John's Baptist Church in their parsonage.
To honor and remember that historic visit, Porter Williams is working on a sculpture. The Sioux Falls man hopes to make a life-sized piece and place it in Van Epps Park, which is near the location of the former parsonage.
He was a great man. He really pulled off something in America that, at that time, that nobody else had the ability to do.
Williams actually lived in Sioux Falls when King visited.
Jim Crow was here. You know, there was places that they didn't like for us to go.
Williams remembers not being allowed to order food at some restaurants, and it was difficult to find work.
Like the middle class in Sioux Falls at that time, the best job in Sioux Falls was working at Morrell's, and they didn't hire black people.
A lot has changed since then, and Williams says King had a lot to do with that.
No one has impressed me not like Martin Luther King.
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Which is why Williams has a dream that others continue to be inspired by the man who fought for civil rights, and that this artwork will be a reminder of King's movement across the country, including here in KELOLAND.
May we wish you in your campaign for right and justice a lot of luck.
Not far from Van Epps Park is the South Dakota African American History Museum inside the Washington Pavilion.
This museum here recognizes the struggles, contributions, and great leadership of the African American community across the state. An iconic name in the museum is that of Cleveland Abbott, an African American football coach, player, and educator. Abbott was born in Yankton and graduated from high school in Watertown.
When he graduated from college at South Dakota State University, he earned 30 varsity letters covering football, basketball, baseball, track, and tennis. Those accomplishments got the attention of Booker T. Washington, founder of the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama.
Abbott would end up becoming the head football coach for the Tuskegee Institute for, get this, 32 seasons. His accumulated record still ranks first at the school in total wins. Porter Williams was the one who nominated Abbott to the 2018 South Dakota Hall of Fame.
Cleveland Abbott is probably the most prominent black man to ever come out of South Dakota, right to this day. You know, I mean, as far as not only black men, I mean, there's not too many white men that achieved what he did.
Abbott was also awarded the Champion of Excellence for the South Dakota Hall of Fame. This museum means a lot to the African American community across South Dakota.
And that's why a special group takes care of all the artifacts here. I caught up with some of the members to see what it means to them to keep Black history alive here at the Washington Pavilion.
I think it's such an incredible resource for the city of Sioux Falls and for the state.
Professor Laura Renee Chandler is the executive director of the board of the South Dakota African American History Museum.
It's very easy to think that there isn't an established history of African Americans here in South Dakota, but there is. The earliest instance that we know of that's documented goes back to the early 19th century. And so, when we talk about this history and we educate people about this history, we're learning about ourselves and about our collective history.
Local businesswoman Dalinka Baudouin is also on the museum's board.
Being an African American woman, I feel like it's a perfect opportunity for me to express interest in something that I feel is important and something that I can associate with especially.
Today, finding information takes just seconds with a quick internet search. But these two women say there's something special about a physical place. Baudouin describes it as a better connection.
I think actually being able to come down here and set eyes on it gives you a different feeling.
It's a very different experience to be here and to look at it physically and to look at really the wonderful artifacts that we have here that have been generously donated.
History isn't just about remembering, it's about preserving.
If it's not out there for people to know about, I feel like it's easy to get swept under the rug or just put on the back burner or just easy to forget about it.
That's why there are places like this, to honor the past and look forward to the future.
We definitely want to bring awareness about it because there's so many people out there that have no idea that this exists, and that's an issue.
We're just getting started with our African American Hidden History special. Coming up after the break.
He is known as the person in the midst of the boom and bust who really took it to the next level.
How one man from Gregory County is still influencing the film industry, coming up next. Welcome back to our African American Hidden History special. People of color are still extremely underrepresented in Hollywood, according to a UCLA study.
Even though the big screen may seem far away, a man who homesteaded in South Dakota was very influential in getting African Americans into films. Tonight, we look back at the history of Oscar Micheaux and how his legacy still lives on. Porter Williams has unlocked his passion in life,
Trying to record that history.
preserving the stories of African Americans who have made a big impact on South Dakota.
I come out of the Jim Crow era.
The man behind one of his sculptures not only has a legacy that lives on in KELOLAND, but all around the world.
He was one of the forefathers of civil rights.
Oscar Micheaux homesteaded in Gregory County, South Dakota in the early 1900s.
He actually came through South Dakota. He was a porter on a train.
Micheaux hopped off that train at a time when very few African Americans lived in the state.
For black people, to come out here in South Dakota and try to homestead, that was, I can only imagine what it took to do that.
During his time near Gregory, Micheaux not only ranched, but started to write. He published the books himself and then sold them door to door. The books caught the attention of a film production company. Micheaux then decided to start turning his books into movies.
But he really took the art form to the next level in terms of the quality of his picture, the quality of the acting, and the quality of the film work.
Micheaux also focused on racial relationships between blacks and whites. His films followed the highly controversial movie, The Birth of a Nation,
which was an absolutely disgusting, racist, awful film.
Hollywood actually hurt Black America for their portrayal of black people shuffling their feet and all the things that the movies and that dialect of how they talk.
Micheaux portrayed black people in a different light. While many of his films are silent, they spoke volumes and helped change America.
he is known as the person in the midst of the boom and bust who really took it to the next level.
Whether it was writing or ranching, it was a level that Micheaux tried to reach.
Of his homestead.
And William's hopes will encourage others still today.
It could have been easy for Oscar to stay on that train and serve people. Really, to go for it. I mean, you know, just to, Oscar was really an adventurous person.
An adventurous person who helped pave the way for racial equality.
There's still more to come in our African American Hidden History special, coming up after the break.
We'll show you how the younger generations are already paving their own paths to greatness, coming up next. Welcome back to our African American Hidden History special. We're standing in front of Rosa Parks Elementary School, named for the civil rights activist who is best known for her role in the Montgomery bus boycott.
Two young women from Lincoln High School will soon be paving their own paths to excellence thanks to a prestigious scholarship. KELOLAND's Brady Mallory tells us about their big accomplishments.
Every time Josephine Dahl entered her combination, she unlocked the path to books and study materials, which opened the door to this moment. Josephine's good grades and hard work mean she gets to go to Vanderbilt University in Tennessee for free.
It hasn't hit yet. It's kind of surreal.
Marcy Zier also earned a full ride to Rice University in Texas.
My dreams are coming true.
Both are recipients of the Quest Bridge Match Scholarship, an award for high-achieving students from low-income families. Marcy will study chemical engineering, and Josephine wants to be a doctor.
That'll help so much, like not having a whole bunch of, like a whole $200,000 on my back, as well as the other $250,000 from med school.
These two young women are happy about their success now, but growing up, they say they used to hide their achievements from their classmates.
Being a black woman in a predominantly white school, it's not really like, I don't want to be like othered or singled out.
And already being singled out as like the only black girl in my class, I didn't want to be singled out as, oh, she's that cocky black girl in the class or something, so I would just keep it to myself.
Now they feel differently about the path each one took to step into prestigious universities and hope other students, especially young women of color, learn from them.
I want them to go out for those things, and even if there's just like the smallest opportunity or like the smallest chance that they'll get one of these opportunities, then I think they should go for it.
After all, college is never free. You have to earn it with a combination of hard work and determination. That's how Josephine and Marcy unlocked their full potential.
They aren't the only KELOLAND students who are making a name for themselves. For one Washington High School student, his hard work is paying off.
KELOLAND's Sarah McDonald shows you how he's taking his passion for music to a national level.
This Washington High School jazz band is getting in practice today. Junior Emmanuel Michael took up playing the guitar about 4 years ago.
I always liked music to begin with, but in 6th grade I started to listen to jazz. And in 8th grade, I was like, hey, maybe I should join the jazz band.
He did, and it's paying off. At the end of February, Michael will be getting the unique opportunity to perform as part of the Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz peer-to-peer jazz education tour.
I get to experience the country with phenomenal people and musicians that I haven't met yet and that are my age and that I can look up to.
What makes this even more unique is that the program is typically only open to students at performing arts high schools.
To have that being recognized at a national level is just incredible. And especially because these students know that he spends so much time outside of rehearsal. A lot of our students don't spend the amount of time practicing that Emmanuel does, and he did it all on his own.
Kylie Coyne has been Michael's band teacher for his entire high school career.
His talent is matched also in his personality. He's extremely humble. He doesn't boast about himself. He doesn't talk about how much he practices. It's very inward. He does it all on his own and really is for himself.
An opportunity that is music to the ears.
They play such at a professional level, and the fact that I get to spend a week with them is a wonderful, I think. So I'm quite excited to meet who they are.
He'll be performing at the end of February and will be traveling to Oklahoma City and Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Coming up in our final segment of our African American Hidden History special.
To get the Rhodes Scholarship really kind of marks you as a future leader of the next generation.
Why a man from Africa says it's thanks to his connections in South Dakota that he gets to attend Oxford.
Welcome back to the final segment of our African American Hidden History special. We're here at Augustana University in Sioux Falls.
This school now has something in common with Harvard, Yale, and Princeton. Each one has alumni who are Rhodes Scholars. The recipients receive a full ride to Oxford University in England, plus invaluable connections to world leaders.
KELOLAND's Sammy Bielan meets a young man from Africa who says his South Dakota connections are the reason he now calls himself a scholar.
Kofi Gunu comes from a small farming village where his mother sells porridge on the street and his father is a librarian. To Kofi, his life was common in many ways, but also very special thanks to his parents.
My childhood was full of love, it was full of encouragement. They really stressed the value of hard work, of education.
That's what led Kofi to come to the United States to find opportunities he wasn't going to get in Ghana. He won a scholarship for an exchange program that led him to this classroom at Brandon Valley High School. His science teacher was a little hesitant about Kofi joining this class.
He was enrolled in AP Bio, and I saw his name, and I was pretty nervous that he would be able to handle it. I didn't know how his English would be, and it's a challenging class for all students.
Not only did Kofi keep up, he helped teach the class when it came to diseases more common in African countries. Kofi was a quick learner and hard worker. He even helped out on the Bennett family farm where he was staying.
I got the entire South Dakota experience. Farm chores in the dead of winter. Those are fun memories.
Kofi shared his dream of attending an American college with his teacher, Justin Lovren. Unfortunately, because he wasn't an American resident, he didn't qualify for financial aid or loans. That's when they started looking into Augustana University.
They have some scholarships for foreign students, and that committee gave him the highest scholarship that they could. And they also said if we have any extra money, we should give it to this kid. He's impressive. But it was still $10,000 a year.
In true South Dakota fashion, the Brandon Valley community stepped up and threw a College for Kofi hog roast to raise the rest of the money.
Every day, remind myself how extremely lucky I am to have gotten the opportunities, to have met the people that I did. Absolutely, none of these, my parents could not have bought any of these opportunities, and we are just extremely grateful.
Kofi was able to earn more scholarships and got other assistance from Augustana to complete his bachelor's degree. He made sure to make the most of his time at Augie.
Where he was involved in Civitas, our honors program, and he graduated summa cum laude 4.0, and he was a Peace Scholar, and basically he received just about every major award we could give him.
Patrick Hicks didn't get to work with Kofi while he was a student in Sioux Falls. It was after Kofi was named a Schwartzman Scholar, entering a very selective program in Beijing, China, where he gained his master's degree in global affairs, that Hicks knew Kofi was a contender for the Rhodes Scholarship.
It's not just that he's really curious about the world around him. He really does have an abiding interest in helping those around him. So rather than get a degree to make a lot of money, he's always sort of interested with how his knowledge can make others better.
32 students are selected for the Rhodes Scholarship from the United States each year. Only one is chosen from West Africa, and Kofi got it.
And to get the Rhodes Scholarship really kind of marks you as a future leader of the next generation.
He did the work, but yeah, definitely the idea that he was an exchange student sitting over in that row, and now he's going to be in September be in Oxford is an incredible story.
It's a really incredible feeling, and I'm still in a state of shock right now. I'm still trying to really come to terms with this new reality.
In 2019, Kofi will work alongside the best and brightest of Oxford University to continue fulfilling his lifelong dream.
To solve the problems, the very real problems that we have here. And so I have already started on that path. After Oxford, the hope is that I will get to continue to serve Ghana. My dream is to be a diplomat.
A dream that will very likely become reality thanks to hard work and South Dakota connections.
That's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us on our African American Hidden History Special.
For more information about these stories, the South Dakota African American History Museum, and the Oscar Micheaux Film Festival, head to KELOLAND.com. Have a wonderful night, everyone.